I'm fine.
Andrew McCART, IFL TV. Dave, nice and warmed up there. You were shrugging your shoulders. Listen, you're the man of the hour, it seems, man. There's a talk.
I certainly shouldn't be Andrew McCART. I certainly shouldn't be the man of the hour. But look, it's a great fun fight week with plenty of talking points, and that's what you want from a fight week, right? You want stuff to talk about so that people can then end up buying the pay-per-view. That's what the collective goal is.
Do you get a percentage of that pay-per-view because you went a little bit? Remember, was it? I don't know if you went viral yesterday. We will come on to it, but. There's loads of storylines, like you said, loads of narratives in this fight week, but there is a narrative with you and Anthony Joshua. Now, I said to you off camera earlier on, I says, where did that stem from? Where did that, if you want to call it beef, come from?
I don't really know. I mean, I've publicly backed against him in fights. I've said that I believe Wilder would beat him, Fury would beat him, Joe Joyce would beat him. I've said all of these things. I've just picked a sportsman to beat another sportsman. If I'd picked Rafa Nadal to beat, I don't know, Djokovic or something like that, I'd imagine Djokovic is probably not on his radar. He probably doesn't care, right? So the whole thing's a bit of a surprise. But hey, if it's getting people talking about this brilliant event, the second boxing event of Riyadh season on Saturday night, TNT Sports box office, bit of ESPN Plus, bit of DAZN. Hey, this is a good thing.
Talked to him about yesterday, obviously. He came up. Now, you held your professionalism. When I ask a question to a fighter, you're obviously more professional than me, Dev, I'll give you that. But when I ask a question to a fighter and he immediately spins it on me, I'm not prepared for it. Like when you asked him about Saudi Arabia and you went, I don't know. You know what I mean? And he spun it right back on you, but you held your cool and you've done it. So talk to him about like the way Joshua is with you and obviously you keeping your cool and trying to keep professionalism. Is it hard?
Is it hard? I mean, thankfully, I so far I'm able to be quite quick with it. I'm fairly quick-witted. Anyone, I can be quite quick-witted. So I don't know. I haven't been caught off guard yet, but it might happen. I don't know. Those exchanges are interesting. What can you do? I'm not going to be like, oh, please answer my question. You just crack on, don't you? You've got to be professional. I'm doing my best to be professional this week. I'm fully aware that there is frostiness. You can just sense that. But hey, I'm here to do a job. I'll continue to do my job until someone says you can't do your job. But hey, I'm enjoying it. I feel like I've created a bit of buzz for some reason, but it's all good fun.
Obviously, then come and do his interview with you and Andy there, or you and Gareth Davis. I don't know who at the end there. Was there a reason for that, or did he just want to get off?
I don't know. He spoke to Andy, so Andy went off. I'm not sure if he was leaving or something, but Andy managed to get him, so he did get an interview with us, just not with me.
Do you feel bad for that?
No, it's all right. I'm sure the press conference will be interesting tomorrow.
Definitely. Listen, Dave, obviously, away from that, this, like you said, you've said it a couple of times now, this card is huge. And I said this to Frank Warren yesterday. Can you see an upset on this card? I mean, you could probably pick the favourites going down the card, but I tell you what, it's not a foregone conclusion for a lot of fights on it, is there?
I think there are upsets in the air. And the thing I would point to is a lot of these fighters haven't had very long to prepare for sometimes the biggest fight. Certainly on the biggest stage for a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys have just had 6 weeks' notice. Anthony Joshua in particular, 6 weeks' notice to prepare for a southpaw when he's recently said he doesn't really want to fight southpaws. I think they ended up with Robert Helenius. There was a pool of opponents. I remember just hearing this at the time. They talked about Dempsey McKean. Oh, we can't fight him. He's a southpaw kind of thing. So 6 weeks' notice for a southpaw who's actually very much coming to win. There could be an upset there. Joe Parker and his team, fully confident. They are fully confident. They have been studying Wilder. And of course, you've got to think that the time that Deontay Wilder has lost, the defeats have been masterminded by that camp. Deontay Wilder would have looked over in the opposite corner and seen Andy Lee sort of around. In Fight Week, he would have seen Joe Parker around. It's that same set of guys. Tyson Fury will have been telling Joe Parker how to beat Deontay Wilder. So that could be a real upset there. They've got a plan. They think they can knock him out. So I can't wait for that one. Dubois Miller, I actually don't know who the favourite is. So I'm not sure what the upset is and whatnot, but can't wait for that fight. You just... Jarrell Miller, for years and years and years, has been talking the most about everyone. Yep. And so far, no one's been able to shut him up. But Daniel Dubois has the power to do so. Let's see if he can do it.
Obviously, when you look at the top of the card there, we will go down the card, obviously, Bivol, and you've got guys like Jaya Pattaya, who's probably the future of the cruiserweight division right now. He's vacated his belt, well, forced to vacate. You've also got Junior Var, another heavyweight. You know what I mean? You've got Frank Sanchez, you've got Hrgovic, you've got Demori. So it's heavyweight heavy, but the two, we're all there. The pictures behind you: Wattlin, Joshua, Wilder, and Joseph Parker. For you though, Dev, out of Joshua and Wilder, who's got the toughest fight?
It's a real tough one. I actually think AJ might have the tougher fight. Deontay Wilder has just got to be himself against an orthodox fighter. That's how he'll be looking at this. And Joe Parker, there is a blueprint on how to beat him. Whether or not, Deontay Wilder can carry that out, we know that at any split second he can knock anyone out. Otto Wallin, we've only seen him lose to Tyson Fury, and he gave Tyson Fury a scare. And it feels like he's come here with his tail up. Every time you ask him about, oh, you seem so confident, he's like, well, duh. Yeah, what do you expect? And he feels like he's seen some frailties in Anthony Joshua. He feels like he's not the fighter that he is. And I think that is probably the tougher fight. Anthony Joshua taking on a good southpaw at 6 weeks' notice is a tougher fight, in my opinion.
You said at the start of this interview that you've went against Joshua a good few times. Are you going against him this on Saturday night?
No comment whatsoever. Goodness me, I think it's the greatest heavyweight of all time. I ain't saying nothing.
I imagine a good man. But what about the one on there, the co-main event now? With obviously Wilder and Joseph Parker. You said there's a blueprint, but the blueprint is being 6'9", 270 pounds, which Parker isn't. So what can Parker do to beat somebody like Wilder? Is it as simple as staying away from that right hand?
Here's the one thing that I would point out. I think people are getting lost in the Tyson Fury trilogy. Deontay Wilder had a whole kind of career before that, had loads and loads of fights, and he has been hurt, he has been troubled by much lesser fighters than Joseph Parker. So the blueprint, he could probably go and look at the Joanne Duapas fight, probably go and look at the Eric Molina fight, all these fights that people were talking about. There are little bits of blueprint out there for Parker to look at, as well as, and you don't have to be 6'9", 270 pounds to necessarily trouble Deontay Wilder. Lesser fighters have done it, so he's got a great chance, Parker.
For one final one, because I think you've got a cue now, Dave. You're like I said, you're the man at the moment, which I like to see good people doing well. For you, like I said to you, the card is stacked up and down. I'm looking forward to Bivol Arthur. I'm looking forward to Jaya Pataya. I'm looking forward to Jarrell Miller and Dubois. If you can pick one fight that you're looking forward to the most, which is it?
It's Dubois Miller.
Yeah,
it is Dubois Miller because it adds something, right? Where Miller's there and he's just chatting so much. He's calling him names. He called him a shrimp. He's been calling him ugly as well, which isn't very nice. He just hasn't been very nice about him. And I don't know, it feels like people want to see Daniel Dubois hurt Jarrell Miller. I think a lot of people will take a lot of joy in that. I'm not necessarily one of those. I quite like Jarrell Miller. I like Daniel Dubois as well. But I can't wait to see what happens when Daniel Dubois, a heavy hitter, is trying to knock out a guy who may weigh 100 pounds more than him. But at the same time, Miller has never had anyone who hits as hard as Daniel Dubois hitting him. Can't wait.
Yes, it's going to be a good evening. Dave, as always, thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
I'm fine.